Hello students, myself Dr. Sasikala, Associate Professor, Department of Prosthodontics from Vinayagar Mission, Shankaracharya Dental College. Today we are going to see the detail about the Pontic Design, which is one of the components of fixed partial denture. In content, which are all content we are going to see is introduction about history of Pontic Design and definition, classification, Pontic selection and biological consideration, mechanical consideration, which are all materials going to use for the Pontic design, aesthetic consideration, Pontic fabrication and summary. Coming to the introduction, the replacement of missing tooth is not a simple replacement because placing an exact anatomic replica of the tooth in a space would be hygienically unmanageable. So, the replacement of missing tooth is a compromise at best. Its name is derived from the Latin words, that is pons, meaning is a bridge. So, the design of the prosthetic tooth will be dictated by aesthetics, function, ease of cleaning, maintenance of healthy tissue on the edentulous ridge and patient comfort. In history, the Pontic designs from the Egyptians and Phoenicians were the pioneers in the field of Pontics, were the first to construct the dental bridgework. Mostly it was made by calf bone and ivory. In history, in 1923, Pierre Fauchard has often referred to as the father of modern dental prosthesis. In 1928, Mansi, who laid the foundation to present day for the FPD design. In Schellberg, 1936, pointed out the basic materials and had changed the materials where gold or porcelain or combination of the two has to be used as a Pontic design material. Coming to the definitions, based on the glossary of prosthodontic terms, the Pontic is an artificial tooth on a fixed partial denture that replaces the missing natural teeth, restores its function and usually fills the space previously which is filled by the natural teeth. Coming to the classification, there are various types of Pontic design which is based on the depending on the shape of the Pontic, which is contacting to the tissue and depend on the materials and depending on the manufacturer's design. Based on the shape, there are different types of Pontic design, that is conical or root extension Pontics, spheroidal Pontic, ridge lap Pontic, modified ridge lap, hygienic or sanitary Pontic and saddle Pontic. Based on materials used, there are so many of materials has to be used, that is all metal, non-metallic and combination. In all metal, gold, copper, chromium, nickel, chromium has to be used. Non-metallic, the porcelain is the material, the combination both metal and porcelain or metal and resin combination. And based on the design by the manufacturer, that is prefabricated Pontics, is classified. It can be altered by the dentist and reglazed is necessary. The prefabricated Pontics, the one of the design is a true Pontic. There is a large bulk of gingival porcelain which can be adapted to the ridge. A horizontal tubular slot in the facing runs from the center to the lingual. This slot in combination with the wide proximal bevels provides the retention for the facings. Interchangeable facings, in this the manufacturer with the vertical slot running down flat from the lingual surface. This facing is retained with a luge which engages the retention slot. The tissue contact should be made a part of backing to ensure the smooth surface. In sanitary Pontics, the original Pontic bearing this name is a round blend porcelain blanks. There is a flat surface towards the occlusal with a slot running out to one side towards the lingual during the fabrication of the Pontic. After it is ground to fit the edentulous space and it is reglazed. In prefabricated Pontics, the pin facing is one of the design. A flat back facing with two horizontal pins for retention has to be provided. This facing has been used where the occlusogingival space is limited. This tissue contact should be part of backing to prevent the porcelain gold finish line from crossing the tissue contact area, where it would be a source of irritation. In reverse pin facing, in this the porcelain denture teeth can be modified to be used as a bridge facing. The pins are ground off and the porcelain is added to the gingival end of facing. It is adapted to the ridge and multiple precision pin holes are drilled into the lingual surface with a tungsten carbide drill. The nylon bristles are placed in the holes and incorporated into the backing wax pattern. This facing affords a good retention when a deep overbite would force the use of very short pins in a conventional facing. In porcelain fused to metal facing, when maximum aesthetics is required, this type of design has to be used, particularly for the anterior region. This Pontic is indicated if one of the retainers must be porcelain fused to metal, especially for the anterior. The Pontic should be made in the same way for the better aesthetics and easier fabrication. This type of Pontic can be soldered to a partial veneer or full veneer retainers. Harmony facing. This facing is supplied with an uncontrolled porcelain gingival surface, usually 2 retentive pins on the lingual side. The gingival area is adapted to the ridge, then reglazed. This type of facing does not work well in situations where the occlusogingival dimension is too short. Then another classification based on the Rosenschel et al. The Pontic design has to be 2 types, that is with mucosal contact and without mucosal contact. With mucosal contact, there is a ridge lap, modified ridge lap, then conical, ovate and hygienic Pontic. No mucosal contact, there is an ridge lap Pontic. The Pontic selections basically depends primarily aesthetics and oral hygiene, especially the aesthetics for the anterior region where it is a prime concern. In posterior region, aesthetics can be compromised in the interest of designs that are more amenable to the oral hygiene. In sanitary or hygienic Pontic, primary design feature of sanitary Pontic allows easy cleaning because its tissue surface remains clear of the residual ridge. Hygienic design permits easier plaque control by allowing gauze strips or other cleaning devices under the Pontic design. Hygienic Pontic, the advantage is it allows easy of cleaning because its tissue surface remains clear of the residual ridge. Hygienic design permits easier plaque control by allowing the gauze strips. The disadvantage is entrapment of food particles which may lead to the tongue habits that may annoy the patients. In conical Pontic, often called it's a egg shaped or bullet shaped or heart shaped, the conical Pontic is easy for the patient to keep clean. It should be made a convex as possible with only one point of the contact at the center of the residual ridge. With mucosal contact, the one design is saddle or ridge lap Pontic. In this concave fitting surface that overlaps the residual ridge buccolingually, simulating the contours and emergence profile of the missing tooth on the both sides of the residual ridge. The disadvantages should be avoided because the concave gingival surface of the Pontic is not accessible to cleaning with dental floss, will lead to the plaque accumulation. In modified ridge lap Pontic, the advantages commends the best feature for the hygienic and saddle Pontic designs, combining aesthetic with easy cleaning. Modified ridge lap design overlap the residual ridge on the facial to achieve the appearance on the facial aspect, tooth emerging from the gingiva, and also remain clear in this lingual region for the cleaning, hygienic maintenance. In conical Pontic, this design is recommended for the replacement of mandibular posterior teeth where aesthetics is lesser concern. The facial and lingual contours are dependent on the width of the residual ridge. In ovate Pontic, the design most aesthetically appealing in the Pontic design. Its convex tissue surface resides in the soft tissue depression or hollow in the residual ridge, which makes it appear that tooth is literally emerging from the gingiva. The advantage is its pleasing appearance and its strength when used successfully with the ridge augmentation. Its emergence from the ridge appears identical to that of natural tooth. The ovate Pontic disadvantage is need for surgical tissue management and the associated cost. Coming to the biological consideration, the principles of Pontic design pertain to the maintenance and preservation of the residual ridge, abutment and opposing tooth and supporting tissue. The factors of specific influence are Pontic ridge contact, amenability to oral hygiene and direction to the occlusal forces. The ridge contact, the pressure free contact between the Pontic and the underlying tissue is indicated to prevent ulceration and inflammation of the soft tissues. If any blanching of soft tissue is observed in the try-in, the pressure area should be identified with the disclosing medium. In oral hygiene consideration, the chief cause of ridge irritation is the toxins released from the microbial plaque, which accumulate between the gingival surface of the Pontic and the residual ridge, causing the tissue inflammation and calculus formation. So, based on this, we have to create the Pontic design. Then another thing is gingival embraces around the Pontic should be wide enough to permit the oral hygiene in these regions, aids to prevent the food entrapment. Accurate description of the Pontic design should be known. Coming to the mechanical considerations, in this the mechanical problem may be caused by the improper choice of material, poor framework design, poor tooth preparation or poor occlusions. These factors can lead to the fracture of prosthesis or displacement of the retainers. In occlusal surfaces, the Pontic should roughly correspond with that of the tooth to it replaces. In posterior region, it is important, that is to be confined with the margins of the abutment tooth. In occlusal forces, reducing the buccolingual width of the Pontic by as much as 30% has been suggested as a way to lessen the occlusal force than that of the natural tooth. In coming to the Pontic material, there are variety of material has been used, which should be provide the good aesthetic results and biocompatibility, rigidity, strength to withstand the occlusal forces and longevity. So, the FPDs should be made as rigid as possible for the occlusal forces. The available Pontic materials are metal, porcelain or acrylic resins, but most use a combination of metal and porcelain. The glazed porcelain is generally considered the most biocompatible of the available Pontic materials, and well polished gold is smoother, less prone to corrosion and less retentive of the plaque than the unpolished or porous casting. The most commonly used metal ceramic Pontics, which should be a well fabricated metal ceramic Pontic, which is a strong, easy to keep clean and looks natural. The framework must provide a uniform veneer of porcelain, approximately thickness is 1.2 millimeter. The excessive thickness of porcelain contributes to inadequate support and predisposed to eventual fracture. The metal surface to be veneered must be smooth and free of pits to avoid the plaque accumulations. Surface irregularities will cause incomplete wetting by the porcelain slurry, leading to voids at the porcelain metal interface that reduce the bond strength and increase the mechanical failure. Coming to the resin veneered Pontics, the another material which resistance to abrasion was lower than the enamel or porcelain and noticeable where occurred with normal tooth brushing. Certain advantages to using polymeric materials instead of ceramics: they are easy to manipulate and repair and do not require the high melting range of alloys which is needed for metal ceramic techniques. The another thing, fiber reinforced composite resin Pontics, where the composite resins can be used in this fixed partial denture without a metal substructure. A substructure matrix of impregnated glass or polymer fibers provides a structural strength. Coming to the aesthetic consideration, no matter how well biological and mechanical principles have been followed during fabrication, the aesthetic is also important. The patient will evaluate the result by how it looks, so especially when the anterior teeth has to be replaced. The gingival interface, which is an aesthetically successful Pontic, will replicate the form, contours, incisal edge, gingival and incisal embraces and color of the adjacent teeth. The special attention should be paid to the contour of the labial surface as it approaches the Pontic tissue junction to achieve a natural appearance. The modified ridge lap Pontic is recommended for the most of the anterior situations. It compensates for lost buccolingual width in the residual ridge by overlapping what remains. When appearance is of utmost concern, the ovate Pontic used in conjunction with the alveolar preservation. In incisive-gingival length, obtaining a correctly sized Pontic simply by duplicating the original tooth is not possible. So, the ridge resorption will make such a tooth look too long in the cervical region. So, the height of the tooth is immediately obvious when the patient smiles and shows the gingival margins. The mesiodistal width, frequently the space available for the Pontic will be greater or smaller than the width of the contralateral tooth. This is usually due to uncontrolled tooth movement that occurred when a tooth was removed or not replaced. And coming to the Pontic fabrications, the available materials, most Pontics are now made with a metal ceramic technique, which provides the best solution to the biologic, mechanical, aesthetic challenges encountered in the Pontic designs. Their fabrications, however, differ slightly from the fabrication of individual crowns. The metal ceramic Pontics, which is mostly used in the fixed partial dentures, a well designed metal ceramic Pontics provides a plaque removal strength and wear resistance and aesthetics. Its fabrication is relatively simple. The metal framework for the Pontic and one or both its retainers is cast in one piece. The anatomic contour waxing for strength and aesthetics and accurately controlled thickness of porcelain is needed in the finished restoration. To ensure this wax pattern is made of the final anatomic contour. And evaluation of this while preparation, the form of wax pattern is evaluated and any deficiencies can be corrected in these situations. So, the particular attention is given to the connectors which should have the correct shape and size. So, coming to the summary and conclusions, the Pontic design is said to determine the success or failure of the bridge in the fixed partial denture. The designs that allow easy block control are especially important to the Pontic's long term services, and success minimizing the tissue contact by maximizing the convexity of Pontic's gingival surface is essential. These are the references. Thank you.